Jennifer Schuett was abducted from her home in Dickinson, Texas in August 1990 when she was just 8 years old. She was then strangled and subjected to a violent rape. Did she survive? Was her rapist caught? Let's dive into the story of Jennifer Schuett. Dennis Earl Bradford, the person who attacked the little girl, cut her throat and left her in a field. She was naked, bleeding, and unable to move until some children found her about 14 hours later. Jennifer was transported to a field, sexually assaulted, and then had her throat cut, damaging her voice box. After the attack, she was unable to communicate or even move. Jennifer's body was found by children playing on the field where she was dumped. She had ant bites all over her body from spending 14 hours resting on an ant mound in the bush. Even though she is unable to talk, Jennifer makes every effort at the hospital to identify the attacker. Jennifer contributed to drawing her assailant. He threatened me by holding a knife against my throat and asked, "Are you frightened, young girl? Are you feeling scared because of me?" He gripped me tightly around the neck with all his strength. Schuett told the program that she lost consciousness for a period of time. I woke up and found him pulling me by my ankles. He accidentally let go of my legs. I suddenly noticed that I was unable to scream, and I couldn't understand the reason behind it. I had enough strength to place my right hand on top of my neck. I felt a deep, open wound at that moment. After Schuett regained consciousness in the field, she realized that her attacker had disappeared. However, she found herself unable to move or call out for assistance. She was rescued several hours later when children playing in the field discovered her. Schuett, who was recovering in the hospital from her terrible injuries, made a desperate attempt to answer the police's questions about the man who had attacked her, despite her inability to speak. 48 hours obtained copies of the notes she wrote to investigators while recalling the night of the attack. According to her statement, she was wearing a pink t-shirt and white pants with blue roses when she was abducted. The young girl informed the police that the person who attacked her was named Dennis. She also provided a detailed description to the police, which they used to create a sketch of the suspect. According to her description, the man was white, wore glasses, had a black mustache, and had 1 or 2 green tattoos. Schuett said, "I recall documenting details such as the presence of beer cans, the brand of cigarettes he had, and any other information that I believed would assist in locating him." In one of the notes, she informed the police that Bradford claimed to be an undercover police officer. Powerful firearm. He mentioned that he currently doesn't have his gun or badge. Even though she gave detectives all the necessary information, it took 20 years for Bradford to be connected to the attack using better DNA testing methods. Over the years, Schuett's case remained unresolved despite numerous investigators' best efforts. She never lost hope during this time. Schuett never ceased recounting her kidnapping and attempted murder, using the voice that had been returned to her. She made her own website and shared her story with everyone who would listen. When the FBI's Child Abduction, Rapid Deployment, CARD team chose her case in 2008, 18 years later, to be retested for DNA evidence in child abduction cases that had gone cold, there was a resurgence of interest in the case. The knickers and pajamas Schuett was wearing, as well as a man's knickers and t-shirt, which were located in the field where Schuett was discovered, were among the evidence gathered in 1990 that was retested by the investigators. It was Dennis Bradford of Arkansas, according to the evidence. The investigators on the case, Dickinson Police Detective Tim Cromie and Houston FBI Special Agent Richard Renneson, recalled a letter Schuett left immediately after the assault that stated, his name was Dennis. After Bradford was taken into custody, Renneson and Cromie were able to persuade him to confess to kidnapping, raping, and trying to kill Schuett. A few months before the trial was scheduled to start, in May 2010, Schuett received what she described as the worst phone call of her life. As she was told, Bradford had committed suicide. I had put a lot of effort into remembering every detail. I desired the chance to testify against him in court and read my victim impact statement, she stated. I wanted to see this through to the very end. Exactly 20 years after being kidnapped, she visited Bradford's cemetery a few months later, on August 10, 2010, and read her victim impact statement. It was noticed that his driver's license photo closely resembled the description of the attacker provided by Schuett to the police. Schuett was still having a hard time with everything. At the age of 25, she was given a diagnosis of hydrosalpinx, a disorder in which the fallopian tubes are obstructed and filled with fluid. This can prevent pregnancy. She was informed that this was due to issues caused by the rapee, and that it was possible that she would never be able to have children of her own. Even after corrective procedures, Schuett's chances of falling pregnant naturally were advised to be extremely low to non-existent by her doctors. IVF was the only option left for Schuett and her partner, Jonathan Martinez, to pursue when it came to the two of them becoming parents. So they made the decision to go that route. Jenna, who is 4 years old, and Jonah, who is 11 months old, are the couple's children at this point. When Dennis Bradford was 21 years old in the year 1991, he had the opportunity to meet Lisa, who was then 18 years old. They initially crossed paths in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and only a few short months after that initial encounter, they tied the knot. They shared parental duties for a son as well as a daughter. In the end, his drinking to excess caused him to lose his marriage. In the year 1996, Dennis Bradford was in a pub named Gators, located in Hot Springs, Arkansas. He approached a lady and inquired as to whether or not he may buy her a drink. She responded with a no. When Bradford returned to the scene a little while later, he asked the woman to join him in a game of pool. Her response was no. After a period of time had passed, he invited the woman to play pool once more, and this time she responded with a yes. After the previous customer, Bradford extended an invitation to ride with him. She accompanied him on his trip. Because there was a song that he wanted her to hear, he decided to take her the long way. After taking a back route, stopping the car, and launching an assault on her, including choking and hitting her, Bradford then fled the scene. As he hauled her from the car, she began to lose consciousness, and he had to help her. She woke up to find that she had no clothing on, and that her belongings had been strewn across a field. Bradford cautioned her to remain still. He dashed back to his vehicle and then came back with a knife. According to the testimony provided by the victim, Bradford raped her while holding a knife to her throat. Bradford was arrested and charged with attempted murder in the first degree in 1996. A single count of rape and one count of kidnapping were all that the prosecutor could bring against the defendant before the trial. As to the kidnapping charge, Court of Appeals Judge Sam Bird wrote in an unpublished ruling dated December 3, 1997, the defendant alleged that the state had not proven its case because the restraint on the victim's liberty was no more than was necessary to commit the offense of rape, the judge wrote. The defendant alleged that the state had not proven its case because the restraint on the victim's liberty was no more than was necessary to commit the offense of rape. The jury could not reach a verdict on the accusation of rape, but they did convict Bradford of kidnapping. He was required to furnish a DNA sample and given a sentence of 12 years in jail for his crime. After that, the specimen was entered into the CODIS database. Bradford was incarcerated for a period of time that was under 3 years. On March 6, 1997, he was taken into custody by the Arkansas Department of Corrections, and on February 4, 2000, he was granted parole and freed. After moving, Bradford is now living in North Little Rock. On November 8, 2001, police in North Little Rock apprehended Bradford less than a half-mile from his home on Ocmulgee Court and charged him with driving while intoxicated. Bradford was later released on bond. Dennis Bradford wed Elizabeth Weber in Pulaski County in 2004, and the couple later established their home in North Little Rock. Weber is a parent to 3 children who are now adults. An examination of the data kept by local organizations revealed that he had not been arrested since his parole had run out on April 3, 2008. He was caught, and it was painful he didn't live to get his punishment. Jennifer lived happily ever after, which is the most important before leaving. Make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to this channel.